Hello ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, my name is Brad. This is my channel Animate Orange, where I build a lot of 3D metal models and show you how I do it. Today on the table from Metal Earth, a newer model, we have Star-Lord from the Legends collection. And this model was actually sent to me from Fascinations to do a review, so that is what I'm going to do, my usual build, and at the end talk a bit about this model. And I'm excited about this one because from what I've heard and what I understand, the newer Guardians of the Galaxy Legend models come together a little bit differently than the previous models, and it is an improvement. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's open this up, see what's inside, and put it together. Middle Earth Legends Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy. And I suspect that the build on this will be a little bit different than the previous Legends models. But let's see, what do we have? Oh, there's an extra little piece in here. We have one tiny sheet with what looks like Star-Lord's weaponry, and we have the usual larger sheet. And it's interesting, this is not the usual shiny shine that I'm accustomed to. Not that that matters, because it's all painted, but I am curious. Still magnetic, so not too different a chemical composition? I don't know. Good question. Let's put this aside and look at the paperwork instructions that come with. One tall sheet with nothing on the back, so I shall fold it in half to get a better view on the camera. And at the top we have the usual Metal Earth Legends, a line drawing of the completed model and the sheet, and right next to it we have another drawing of the sheet with all the part numbers listed, including the little tiny one. So we can easily see the numbers for all the parts as we're going through the assembly flowchart putting this together. Down below that we have a sample part with a notation of fold lines, insertion holes, insertion tabs. What those are Legend, which is very simple for this model. Blue circle, you see that at a connection point, it means to insert a tab and fold it over 90 degrees. Green triangle, when you see that at a connection point, it means to insert a tab and twist 90 degrees. And on this front page, oh, here we go, there's a couple of examples. I was going to say I don't see one. In the 360 view, we've got the QR code you can scan with your phone, or just go to this web address where you can see a 360 view of the completed model. And below that we have the start of the assembly flowchart, starting with what is probably a shoulder and arm, and folding that up, and you just follow through the assembly flowchart, following the arrows, folding the parts, ignoring my little alarm, folding the parts and adding them on, shaping them, and just, generally going through all the assembly steps, adding in all the parts. And you get to halfway point, jump down to the bottom half of the page to this side, pick up where you left off, continuing to build the model, and then over to this side, and once you get to the bottom, as usual, you are finished with your model. Let's take a moment to talk about the tools that I use. This is my standard set that I use in most every build. I have long needle nose pliers and flat nose pliers, useful for a variety of different things. I have flush clippers that I use to cut the parts off the trees. It makes it quick and easy. And then I have some precision tweezers, one with a very pointed end, one that's had the pointed end ground down slightly, and one with a flat, sort of curved end. Great for getting into curved areas. And then I have a standard set of tweezers with an angled tip. These come in one of the Iconics models, and I love them and use them a lot. I don't use these very often, but they sometimes come in quite handy. They're angled needle nose pliers, and I typically use them for one of two reasons. Either getting into a strange shaped area to twist a tab because of the angle. More frequently though, I use them to fold over flaps along bases or side of parts that are too long for the flat nose pliers, but needle nose pliers can't get to them safely without bending or warping something else. These will grab a longer area and bend it over. We've got the basic tools to get started, our sheet and our assembly flowchart. Let's build Star-Lord.
I used a dowel rod to help curve and shape the shoulder section. The tabs didn't quite line up for part 3, so I bent one of the tabs in slightly. This time, part 3 fell right into place. Things are starting to go into a little bit of a different direction with this build compared to previous Legends builds that I have done. Usually, the part you attach the arms to is sort of a full body section. It goes from the shoulders all the way down to the feet, but this time it's just a midsection. Out of habit, I bent the sides around, then realized it's not time to do that here. This Legends build is a little different. My plan was to wait to bend the top portions over until folding the sides in. That way, I wouldn't have to guess if I was bending 35 degrees. I'd be able to see if I've bent the tabs, the upper sections over enough when they meet. That's okay, I can adjust later if needed. Here's where things get really different. The way the legs come together is quite different than previous Legends models. Both legs are one piece and fold differently. I was a little puzzled at first how to shape the feet, but I basically just tried to pinch things together and over the tabs, and that pretty much worked. For the other foot, I decided to push the one side against the foot and tab first, then fold up the other side and push that in. It seemed to go more smoothly this way. I found it very helpful to bend these back tabs in a little. Oftentimes with folded over sections like this, it helps to bend the tabs in a tad to accommodate for the angle of the swing of the part. I ended up folding the sides of the upper torso back in anyway. I thought it would make things easier to line up. Oftentimes during these model builds, I find myself having to make small adjustments to get things to fit. Careful when bending tabs over at this point. Make sure you are supporting the model well enough that you don't accidentally push the model over and flatten or warp it. Now to bend these tabs up so they line up correctly and attach the head. Then I'm done. And he's all done. Finished and complete, and pretty cool looking too. I'm very pleased with how this model turned out. Loving the little gun action there and the fact that he's got his mask on. Very nice model. It did not take me very long to complete, and I am pleased with the way the legs especially come together in this model compared to before. Now this build took me about 40 minutes, which really isn't that long. That's a pretty quick model. Now mind you, I've got plenty of experience building these models, so it might take you a little bit longer if you're new at it. And these models do seem to be geared a little bit, or the Legends models, geared a little bit towards the newer audience, towards the newcomers. They're easier models, and they're not the easiest models Metal Earth has, but they are pretty much on the easy line. Now the older Legends models, as I was saying about the legs before, the older models, the thing that frustrated me, and it's not to say that they were difficult models, they seem to be a little more difficult than they needed to be, because the way the large back piece came on the older models, such as Spider-Man, and I have Spider-Man back here, right here, the back piece is all one long piece from the neck down to the feet. And when you shape the legs, there's really no guideline. You just do your best to kind of shape them the way the instructions say. You don't really know how they're supposed to go until you start putting that back on, and it's odd angles in a tight space, and it can be a bit of a fight to get all the tabs lined up and everything pushed and turned and curved like it's supposed to be. So it can be quite the challenge to get that back piece together and get those legs shaped, where when you start off with the legs in the older models, you don't really have an idea of what shape you're looking for, not a real good guideline, just a vague idea with the angles. And it is a little more challenging, not hard, not terribly hard, but more challenging. I like that they redesigned it so that the legs in the new models, and I believe all of the Guardians models are like this, the legs are one piece, and the way that they fold up, the way the sides come up and fold around, you're figuring out how it's supposed to be shaped as you're putting it together, as opposed to shaping it the best you can, a large piece, and then putting it together later on in the model. You're shaping it as you go, and I really appreciate that change in design. It still is a little bit of a challenge, so it's not super easy. You'll still, if you're a crafty, hands-on kind of person who likes a little bit of a challenge, there's still something there for you, but it's less frustrating and easier to do than the older model. So I really love that about these new models, about this model in particular. I love the look of it. Something else that I really enjoy that they've kind of made an improvement on, and it may sound a little bit odd, Spider-Man here is very, very shiny metal. Now, I'm accustomed to the Metal Earth models being very shiny, and that's one of the things that lets you know you're dealing with a Metal Earth model, is the metal tends to be very shiny. This model was more dull. Now, big deal, it's all painted over, but in the end, you still have a shine to it, but it's not as strong a shine as Spider-Man, and to me, that just sort of looks better. It just sort of looks a little bit better that they've got that little bit of a duller shine to it. It seems a little more realistic, a little more like a person, like a model than this. This doesn't look bad. I'm still loving the Spider-Man. I'm loving the detail on this outfit, and I'm loving the other Legends models that I got, but they're getting better. They're not bad to begin with, and they're good starter models, not the super easy, but they combine the easier model. It's an easier model with a little bit of a challenge combined with being something geeky and neat and different and collectible in a different way than some of the other easy models. So I think they've done a Metal Earth or Fascinations a really good job of this sort of intro line of simpler models for collectibles, for geeky people, for people who like DC or Marvel. Wonderful. I can't wait to see what other kind of things come out in the future. There's so much room for that to grow. So I'm really enjoying these Legends builds. Now, when I first saw the Legends models, I will say they were a bit odd looking, and this kind of comes after building things like Iron Man or War Machine, which are very well done, very detailed, and fairly realistic looking Metal Earth models, but they're also very advanced models and more expensive models. The Legends are on the easier side of things. They are an easy model to build and less expensive and just simpler, and you've got some easy to put together collectibles that you can put on your shelf. So I kind of see, there's a big difference between the two, and really they're not far offline with some other popular things out there. Say, I don't know, certain vinyl figures that you can buy and put on your shelf and look at. You don't even really have to take out of the box, but honestly these are a bit more fun for crafty people like me, because instead of just spending a bunch of money to look at something, you actually get hands-on, put it together and make it yourself, which I personally find rather rewarding to do. So big difference there. Really enjoying these models. A little bit odd shaped, but for what they are pretty freaking awesome and wonderful to build and collect. You've got your own little story behind it. I made this, I put this together. This isn't just something I bought, this is something I bought and built. Awesome. I'm loving it. I'm enjoying these models. Thank you, Fascinations, very much for sending me this model to build and review, and also a little bit of a surprise. What's this? This is another model they sent me. They sent me two. I put one together. Well, what am I going to do with the other one? I am going to give it away. If you would like your own Star-Lord model to build, what I want you to do, I'm going to have a little contest, a little giveaway. I'm going to put a link to this video on the different social media sites, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. If you are part of any of those sites and you can find my post saying, hey, this video is now live, I want you to leave one comment. To enter this drawing, I want you to tell me the name of your favorite Marvel movie. Don't tell me that you're answering a specific question, and don't tell you why you're saying it. Just put the name of the movie and I'll know what you're talking about. Kind of keep it just for those who've seen the movie, seen this video and know what the contest is about. Just put the name of your favorite Marvel movie and I will enter you into the contest. You have until the 6th of April to enter, and sometime that following weekend I will choose a winner and send them a Star-Lord model. And yes, I'm opening this up to anybody that I can legally send a package to, not just the US. For those of you outside the US, there's a small chance for you. I will send this to you for free as long as I can legally do it. As long as I am able to send something from the US to your country, and you enter this drawing and your name is drawn, I will send you this model. So again, just go find on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, and when you see the post, and please only enter on one of the three, because yeah, that's only fair, but just put the name of your favorite Marvel movie and I will put you in the drawing. If you enjoy these videos, you want to see more interesting builds, consider supporting this video channel. There's a link to my Patreon down below and at the end of this video. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you, Fascinations, for sending me these models, and keep on keeping on.